Welcome to the University of Cosmic Intelligence. I appreciate you all. Deeply beautiful reflections. We're going to talk about the Battle of Los Angeles. All right. But before we get started, it's imperative that we open up this live lecture with the right spiritual energy. All right. So first, let me start by saying peace to all the gods and goddesses of planet Kai. Peace meaning positive energy always creates elevation. I want to say I love you deeply. Cosmic Reflections to all my elders, sending you the deepest of insight as we sit through this lecture about the Battle of Los Angeles, which took place in 1942. Sending a lot of insight, cosmic love, divine cosmic love to all my peers, those 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s in the university. Thank you. We ain't got to do no disclaimers in here. We only got to do that when we public reflections. You feel me? As far as to the blue crystal babies who are in here, 21 and under, whether you're watching this with your family or however you watching this, however you watch this university tune into these live lectures. This is an evening class, so I appreciate you deeply for being in here. You know, because y'all will ask me playing the game or some shit, but you in here making a contribution to what's going on right now with our people in this war and our species. And I just want you to know I appreciate each and every one of you. Every time y'all tune in, even when y'all know I'm gonna be late, I be like, I'm gonna come on at 9. Niggas know I ain't gonna come on at 10. So I appreciate y'all. I want to say that today is the 11/11 portal. We was gonna actually do a rally today, but I changed it because I felt like the elites was watching us, and the energy wasn't right. So I always go with the flow of the spirit. I don't move on time. I flow off spirit. You know what I'm saying? I go out what the ancestors tell me to do. I follow it. I follow my divine intuition. All right. So I felt watched. I felt like, I felt planned upon, like they were planning on us to link up because everybody knew about 11/11. So we're going to choose a different date. This is also Veterans Day, and I didn't want to donate any energy to anything that they trying to call a holiday. All right. So we will link up again sometime this month or next month, but of course, when we do link, it's going to be big like the last one was. It's going to be peaceful. And it's just a meeting of the gods. All right. We will be shifting this rally to different cities as we move forward in this war in 2022. We head into December. A lot of solar flares. The solar flares started December. But it's going to they coming in waves, these solar flares, okay? And that's why I was inspired and led by the ancestors to do this lecture tonight, because we talking about the Anunnaki who have returned, which is us. Remember, it's black people on these spaceships, y'all. Let's get away from aliens. It's black people on these ships. It's us on these ships. All right, other than the Galactic Federation, and the majority of them are Pleiadians, and some of them are us. Some of them are Syrians. It's a lot of different races, extraterrestrial races. Advanced extraterrestrial races that are aboard the Galactic Federation. All right, there's like a bunch of universes that came together for the betterment of the entire multiverse. All right, so shout out to the Galactic Federation. They here. Shout out to the Anunnaki gods, are the original ones who never incarnated. They just been sitting on back home on at Sirius X from the beginning. That's who be on those spaceships. Some of us chose to come down here and incarnate, while others of us never incarnated. So that's what we see on the spaceships. And because we did choose to incarnate, a lot of us forgot about them. So that's why they got to come back. That's why they had to come back to help us. That's why they sent me back to help us, and they sent you back and more of us to help us remember to prepare for what's going on. Everybody see it happen in the real life time, but it's a situation that took place that I want to talk about called the Battle of Los Angeles. And this took place in their year of 1942, because we know time isn't real. But in this year, basically, I'll read about it first, and then I'll break it down. So what I want everybody to do, all right? Everybody pull out their laptops. It's classwork. Pull out your laptop or pull out an extra phone. And I want you to go to Wikipedia. I want you to go to Google and type in Battle of Los Angeles. And then click on the wiki link that leads you to Wikipedia, and y'all can read along with me. I'll give y'all 90 seconds to get there. Thank you. And I'm actually counting too. So don't think I ain't counting. I feel y'all frequency, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Niggas laughing right now. Like he said, I feel y'all frequency. Nigga, pull your thimbles out. Pull your electrical thimbles out. Thank you. Give y'all time to get there. The Battle of Los Angeles. That's what it's called. I know right now I hear niggas right now like, what he said again? Say it again, God. In the back of the class. Battle of Los Angeles. Thank you. Battle of Los Angeles. All right. Feel like y'all should be there now. All right. So let's read about it. Let's read what they're saying and I'll break it down. So what they will tell you about the Battle of Los Angeles in their history, they're saying the Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given by contemporary sources to a rumored attack on the continental United States by Imperial Japan and the subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage, which took place from late February 24th to early February 25th, 1942, over Los Angeles, California. All right? I'll repeat it again. The Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given by contemporary sources. So when they say contemporary, that means they made this shit up. All right? Contemporary sources, or they say anonymous source. When they talk like that in articles, they never cite their source. They anonymous source. So many people say, like, or sources have said. Who is these sources? The name given by contemporary sources. Right. It be them. All right? It's the name given by contemporary sources to a rumored, see, they like to use the word rumored to throw you off, to make you think the shit never happened. A rumored attack on the continental United States by Imperial Japan and the subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage, which took place from late February 24th to early February 25th, 1942, over Los Angeles, California. Now, the reason why they saying they felt like this attack came from Japan is because this is the time when the United States was at war with Japan during Pearl Harbor. All right, it all go hand in hand. I'm gonna keep reading though. All right, this incident occurred less than 3 months after the U.S. entered World War II in response to the Imperial Japanese Navy surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. All right, so for those who don't know what Pearl Harbor is, because we got the Blue Crystal babies in here. All right, so Pearl Harbor was an event that took place in World War II where they say the Japanese, they called them the Japs, decided to bomb military bases over here in the United States. They did this in Hawaii, all right, if I'm not mistaken. So Pearl Harbor, see exactly where that was at. Right, yep. Pearl Harbor was an American lagoon right off the island of Hawaii. Right, I know I wasn't tripping. All right, so this, America claims Hawaii to be its land as well. So this took place in Hawaii, but Hawaii is a part of America. So, all right. So basically the Japanese, legend has it, history says, because none of these wars were really wars fought over the reasons they told the public. All right. But they basically made it seem like the USA was in tour with Japan because of things that Japan had did. So Japan wanted to jump ahead and they decided to attack the US first because the USA was looked at as the giant. So when they went to attack the U.S., they knew they couldn't send missiles and stuff like that because we already had the U.S. already had the advanced weaponry to, track down any weapons that was fired over here, all right, via sonar radar and stuff like that. So what they decided to do was they sent live people over to the U.S. in these planes to bomb Pearl Harbor. And some of them was even told to crash the planes into the boats. So these individuals was called the kamikazes. All right. Now the kamikazes was this group of Japanese soldiers who they went on what they call suicide missions. So the same way that you see the Arabs overseas when they was strapping bombs to themselves and blowing themselves up, well, that's what the kamikazes did, but instead of strapping themselves with bombs, they used the actual airplane as bombs. And what they do is they would go over there and they would crash their planes into all of the warships that the U.S. had at Pearl Harbor. And they killed a lot of people doing that, let them tell it, all right? So this started World War II for the U.S., okay? So this is why they tell you about the Battle of L.A., because it happened a few months right after Pearl Harbor was attacked, leading the U.S. to go into World War II. All right, let's keep reading. One day after the bombardment of Elwood near Santa Barbara on February 23rd, initially the target of the aerial barrage was thought to be an attacking force from Japan. All right, we're talking about the Battle of Los Angeles. They thought this was the Japanese doing it, all right, in LA when this took place. But speaking at a press conference shortly afterward, the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox, called the purported attack a false alarm. Newspapers of the time published a number of reports and speculations of a cover-up to conceal an actual invasion by enemy airplanes. So at the time, you had a lot of the masses who wasn't in LA but heard about what had took place. They thought that the government had created a cover story to hide what actually happened in LA. All right, but they still felt like that it was Japanese aircraft, but they just wasn't alerting the country because they didn't want the country to panic. All right, so this is what the masses thought back then. All right, let's keep going. When documenting the incident in 1949, the United States Coast Artillery Association identified a meteorological balloon sent aloft at 1 a.m. as having started all the shooting. Keep that in y'all mind. A meteorological balloon, all right? They sent somebody put a hot air balloon in the air, and that started all the shooting. If you don't know what the shooting was, don't worry about it. I'm going to get to it. Just keep these things in your mind right now. When documenting the incident in 1949, the United States Coast Artillery Association identified a meteorological balloon sent aloft at 1 a.m. as having started all the shooting and concluded that once the firing started, imagination created all kinds of targets in the sky and everyone joined in. In 1983, the U.S. Office of Air Force History attributed the event to a case of war nerves triggered by a lost weather balloon and exacerbated by stray flares and shell bursts from adjoining batteries. All right? So, that's how we got to read. Ain't got to even pull the topic anymore because they lying anyway. All right? So, now you know their version of the story. So, they basically said in 1942, because the United States was at war with Japan, all right, it was a bunch of aircraft that came over the city of Los Angeles like 4 a.m. in February of 1942. And that these aircrafts led to the military shooting at them, okay? What they did was they cut off all the power in L.A. Hear me out. Now, imagine how bright L.A. is. It was bright like that then. They had all these lights and stuff then. They had already built it on the 33rd parallel. Hollywood was already in full effect in 1942, okay? Here the country is heading into war. And one night in L.A., 2, 3 a.m., people get to seeing airplanes. Radar picked it up. Okay, they picked it up. The military picked the planes up on radar. All right, let's just be honest. They picked the planes up on radar. They cut all the power off in LA. They made the whole city hit the power. As these unidentified objects flew into sight, they were shooting at the objects. All right, using 50 cals, bombs, nukes, everything they could throw at these ships they threw. All right. Every single thing they could throw at these ships, they threw. Okay? Now, the thing is, none of the bullets hit the ships. None of the nukes. They were sending missiles, Scud missiles, machine guns, launching tanks, everything at these aircraft. All right? But nothing worked. All the shooting they did, these unidentified flying objects would simply disappear or move in a way where the bullets could not, or the weaponry, or the missiles could not penetrate the vehicles that they were shooting at in the sky. Now, in that battle, want to call them that were destroying these tanks, these airplanes, all the United States military vehicles that they had, that they were using to shoot at these UFOs that they was calling them back then. We know what they are now, but nothing worked. And it got so bad, like literally, these ships killed so many soldiers. And the weapons they were using were literally energy weapons. All energy, all quantum energy. High levels of electricity and plasma energies. So basically, when they would shoot at these tanks, they would just evaporate. Completely disappear. This is why it wasn't a lot of bodies. All right? Because they were completely evaporated with the technology that these UFOs were using to destroy them with. All right? The United States sent thousands of Army tanks into LA to help fight this battle of LA that took place only for like 3 hours. Well, it lasted from like 2 a.m. to like sunrise. All right? But in the battle, thousands were sent and thousands died. And they covered it up. They didn't tell LA what happened. All right? They made the city of LA think that it was a false alarm. That it was just a weather balloon. And that once one Army tank started shooting, everybody started shooting. But ask yourself this. They cut all the lights out in the city so that they could see what was in the sky. Okay? When they started shooting, if it was a weather balloon, that wouldn't have led to thousands of airplanes, thousands of Army men and Marines shooting their 50 caliber weapons from tanks up at the sky trying to blow these UFOs up. They wouldn't have did that. They would have said it was a balloon. That's that. All right? Shooting lasted from 1 a.m., 2 a.m. all the way to sunrise. You talk about 3, 4, 5 hour battle with nothing but shooting. That's a battle. It's a lot of shooting. That's a lot of hours of straight shooting for it to just be an air balloon. Now, they end up putting out a story in LA telling people there was a false alarm that night. And because remember, they blacked the city out. They cut all the lights out. So people heard the shooting. They heard the bombs going off. They heard all of that, but they couldn't really see nothing. However, it was people that could kind of see what was going on. All right? They looking up at the sky now. If you cut all the lights out, we look up at the sky, we can still see perfectly what's going on. Okay? We can still see perfectly what is going on. You had eyewitnesses who reported seeing fleets of spaceships in the sky shooting back and forth at the United States Army. Meanwhile, they put out an article making it seem like nothing ever took place. They did 6 hours of shooting for no reason. But in reality, that was these Anunnaki spacecraft that came here in 1942. And when they came, they only came to check on us. Like they always have done. They've always came in and out the realm, waited for the moment in time for us to strike. They wasn't even thinking about the United States Army. They was going to do their thing, keep going. But the Army seen them and got scared and started to fire at them, bringing in thousands more. They turned it into a battle. And they tried to play it off and make it seem like it was they thought it was the Japanese. They knew damn well the Japanese don't control those type of spaceships. The things they was doing, they never seen a spaceship do. And when they started firing their weapons at us, we started firing back. And we used the type of weapons that once this energy hits you, you're going to completely evaporate. The cars, the people, completely. That's why it was so many, man, we killed thousands of them. All right? And when sunrise came, it was nobody's out there. There was no cars. Everything was completely gone. Only a few of them that was left was there. Out of thousands, we left maybe a few hundred to tell the story. And most of those that fought in the Battle of Los Angeles, the government got them, chipped them, or they killed them and shut them, quieted them up. Because the elites know why we came. And they used the government to control everything, so they didn't want us to know what was going on. They didn't want the masses to understand what was going on. Who these advanced beings were on these spacecrafts. But this was the whole battle that took place, which they lost. And that's how they found out from that battle of 1942, we ain't nothing to be played with. You see, this when they was made alert, because in 1930, they was trying to escape the planet. They had tried to drain all the resources they could, and the goal was to drain the resources, leave us in a spell state, and leave the realm. They couldn't leave. They couldn't get out. They got trapped under a firmament that we placed here for them so that they can't leave. We could come and go, though. They don't know how to access it. That's why they try to call it a firmament, because it's like a glass dome for them. They can't get out. We could come and go, though, because the karmic debt must be paid. So even when we came in 1940s, we knew this moment would come where we at now. Well, now the karmic debt has been repaid. But in 1940, we just passing through. Size the shit up. You know, time ain't real anyway. We passing through. They start shooting at our ships. We start firing back. And if you go look up, that's what I want. That's what the homework is. I want you to look more into it yourself. When you go to read articles on it, you're going to hear numerous eyewitness reports of people seeing this battle take place, seeing it. And they still put the cover story out to this day. They make it seem like, hey, it was nothing but a false alarm, and they did all this shooting because they thought it was some balloons in the sky. Whole time it was an entire, what they like to call alien invasion. A whole war took place, which they lost. And then we warped the time because we control it. Like they created it, but we so advanced we could control it, especially our relatives that never incarnated in this atmosphere. Remember, all of us didn't come down here. And the ones that did, we chose to come down here. We signed soul contracts. But we got relatives, gods and goddesses, Anunnaki from Sirius X, Xylanthia, that never left. So that be them on them ships. And a lot of us forgot them because they bleached the soul of its memories when we first get here, so that when we see them, we don't recognize them. They know exactly who you is. That's why they don't fuck with us. They are our family. You know? They feel sorry for us because we be forgetting that death ain't real, and we be forgetting who they is. But the Battle of Los Angeles is important. Because we finna do that, but on another level. And they know it. You see what I'm saying? They know this. They already had a little slight run-in with us. They know how we move. They terrified right now. That's why they censoring at an all-time high. In the Battle of Los Angeles, this shit actually happened. So this where you can actually count. They never told you it was a time in history where we had where it was an actual invasion, where they actually fought us a little bit from a cosmic level to an earthly level, and they seen they couldn't fuck with us. That's what I'm saying. Them little bullets they shooting, that's kinetic energy. We can have that. We can play with that. It's cool. But what we have, higher levels of energy. Etheric magic. Esoteric science that they can never explain. And the crazy thing is they made a whole movie about this shit. Nobody knew it ever took place. The Battle of Los Angeles is a movie that came out, a few years back? But it actually took place. It actually happened. It actually happened. And they sweep it right under the rug. They cut all the lights out in the city. Imagine being in your city right now and they hit all the lights. They can do that. Hit all the lights. It's pitch black. You can't see nothing but the sky. So you gonna see everything. You think thousands of people reported seeing this shit. The government still denied it. Oh, y'all ain't see that. That ain't what happened. That ain't what happened. What happened was we hit the lights because we thought the Japanese was coming back, and then we seen something flying in the sky, so we started shooting at it for 5 hours, only to find out it was a weather balloon. Come on now. They got sonar radar back then. You think they're gonna spend all that force, all that manpower on a goddamn weather balloon? They was firing 50mm bullets from tanks, Gatling guns. Certain planes was took to the sky to bomb and war back and forth, and they couldn't do nothing with us. We was using force fields, and we were just passing through. We wasn't even on shit. They started shooting at us because they were scared. And they regretted it. They lost thousands of them died that night in that war. And this war should be talked about more, but they don't. They call it the Battle of Los Angeles. A whole UFO invasion took place right there in LA. Just like the headquarters of the reptilian race is right under LA. Been there from jump since they landed here. Just like they keep all our advanced esoteric science that we teaching now, that's in the Vatican. Under the Vatican. And then after that battle, they started all these UFO theories because see, they don't even understand why we let them survive because we wasn't ready yet. We was just passing through. We needed certain things to happen before we do take the planet all the way back. So they've been scared since then when it come to us. That's when they came up with the silent war to hurry up, and they thought about like, oh, they back to help them. So that's when they came up with all these tactics, the TV, STDs. They call it the silent war. All these different weapons that were used to destroy us. And it's called the silent war because we were never supposed to be aware that it was a war being waged against us, because if we became aware, we would win the war. They know how powerful we is. And they know where we come from and who backs us. And they know that we created them. XY chromosome. They single-celled organisms with blue veins. And the gods, the fallen gods that created the human being race, they don't even have their wings no more. They don't even have their powers no more that they used to have. All they have been left with is this low form of light magic that they were using. And tricknology, which is the art of lies and deception, which was taught to them by their father, Yaqub, a.k.a. Satan, a.k.a. Zeus. So that's an interesting topic. I want y'all to look deeper into it because it's going to amuse you to see, like, hold on. So we looking for UFOs and this and that. Our ancestors been coming here. Whole little mini fights and scuffles that took place that they didn't sweep under the rug. They know who we are. They know why we came. But I want y'all to look deep into the Battle of Los Angeles on your own. Go watch the movie. Understand that that actually took place, and understand that that was us. And that thousands of them died in that little 4-hour battle. So what you think finna happen to them now? This election ain't got to be that long. Because just bringing truth to the fact that a battle took place in Los Angeles, a lot of y'all probably didn't even know that. You might have heard about the movie and still ain't gonna watch the movie. Oh, it's just a movie. No, this actually took place. And that ain't the only place we didn't ran across the map. But that was the first time. And ever since then, they've been scared. Trying to get off the planet, and they wasn't able to do it. We've been fucking them up the last 2 years. But they knew about us for a long time. They knew about us when they took the planet from us. But when we came back in 42, they seen all the weapons they was using was nothing compared for our ancestors that ain't never came here. Remember, when they won this planet from us, we had still came here. So we was under the frequency, and we went to war, and we lost. Because the Moors snaked us. They put the Moors under spells and used the Moors against us in all our advanced sciences. However, our brothers and sisters and family members on our planet that never came here, that shit would never work with them. So that's who came through in 1942, just passing through, and they started shooting their weapons at them, and they regretted it. And that's who's back now. That's why they told me to talk about it. And they told me to tell you, go look into the Battle of Los Angeles on your own. And apply what I'm telling you now and what you know in here to that story. Endgame, it's already over with. The victory is already won. War is imminent. 9 ether beings, luminous beings. We come from the stars, man. The Zulu call themselves the Zulu, meaning little children from the sky. We come from the stars, man.